All right, so today was a bit crazy of a day, and I'm going to talk about leads and the follow-up systems and all the things that we use and some of the things that will help you get some more sales in general. So if you have customers coming in the door, how do you get them to purchase? What's the steps? What's the common person versus what's your elite person that you want to strive for? So in general, we've been extremely busy with leads coming in. We're licensed in many states. So we're in, I think, 10 states. There's Virginia, Ohio, lots of states, right? We're in a bunch of states. And we're finding that the carriers are opening up, which is a good thing. So if you're in the PNC industry and you're worried about the home insurance not allowing you to write homes in Texas and all the things, we just applied for a new appointment with a company called something America Home. It's actually a pretty decent company. I think we had them before, but they're opening up zip codes in Texas. So that's going to be a positive. Also, Travelers has mentioned they're opening up homes in Texas. So there's going to be a lot more business that we're able to write going in the future. But right now it's very tough. In Michigan, it's easy. We've got tons of carriers. We're still missing Geico and a couple of those other small ones. We got Cure Auto now. There's a lot of changes that are good. And there's a lot of companies that are really good. Certain carriers have gone up 30, 40, 50%. So it's hard to keep a client on the books when that renewal comes in at $1,000 plus more on the renewal. Where you thought they were more of a value-based customer, you're going to find that over half of the people that say they're value-based are not really value-based. They're price-based. However, the benefit is you gave them the value if you wrote the policies like we talked about in previous videos where we focus not even on price. I don't even care what you pay. I just want to make sure you're covered correctly. And here's what the cost is. Here's the best carrier. Here's who I would put you with. Understanding your industry and knowing what you're talking about makes a big difference. The reason I say that is because there's the opposite where you have more of the high risk type client, and that goes with anybody. You put them with any carrier that fits as long as you're not putting with the top tier companies, because those top tier companies, one, aren't going to be competitive anyways, but two, you're going to lose your appointment because you're connecting them with the wrong company and so on and so forth. But in general, having that switch, we're noticing that even with your premium client or your preferred client, I guess you could call them, their financials are not even in good spots. So where they had an umbrella, they're dropping umbrellas. We're trying to switch them to different companies. We had Nationwide recently in Michigan went up. They said they only went up 12%, but I'm seeing 20 to 30%, which is huge, which is what Safeco did last year. We kept everyone with Safeco. And so now all of these changes are happening, and we can't hold on as much with Nationwide as we did with Safeco because Safeco had a product package that came with everything. So because Nationwide doesn't have that product package and all those extra benefits, as great as a company as Nationwide is, most customers are going to want to shop that. So that's where we're at right now is we're in like a month-to-month lull where we're writing $30, $40, $50, $60,000 extra in premium, but we're losing $20,000, $30,000 in premium, or we're reshopping and getting the price lower if we find a better fit. And then we're making up, but losing at the same end. We're not going anywhere in growth mode, which I think is going to change soon. We're actually opened up a couple other states in our agency that we've been licensed in. Now we're able to take leads in, and so it's working in our favor. On top of it, I do need to hire another agent, so I'm working on that. I'm very lackadaisy on hiring somebody, partially because I've got to train them. It's going to take a lot of time and effort, which I'm fine with. It's just doing those pieces. I'll be honest, some days I just want to go to the casino and just bet it all. Don't get me wrong, never going to do that. I will do that slowly over time, and that's just more of a fun. Let's play some roulette, and maybe I'll go on crazy time on the apps and bet MGM and stuff like that. Maybe I'll just put links in there so if you start gambling with me, I'll get like a commission. That'll be the next move. In general, our agency is growing quite a bit. I do need to hire somebody new. I've been saying that for a few months. I've actually been telling carriers that. Honestly, I'm trying to put the word out there so people hear that we're looking for another agent. But again, I'm not doing the work to find the other agent. I'm just hoping that person comes in the door that either has the experience and can afford to survive on the income, because we do a commission split and there's a whole thing where you get paid differently. When you get paid on a book later on, once you've built the book to a certain size, you essentially get the best of both worlds. You didn't take the risk on the front end, and now you're getting paid heavily on the back end. So that's the world that most agents want to be. It's just taking the risk on the front end and getting less pay now in exchange for better payments in the future. Eventually, we will actually get rid of that. That'll probably be a system that's like a has to be done now in order to afford certain levels of agents. And we need a service person on top of that. So there's those extra. We've got 2 hires that we've got to make fairly quickly. And we're also looking at buying or renting a different space. The one we're in now has grown and they don't really have extra offices that we can take. So we're just going to go off and get our own space and essentially move into a larger space. We're looking at about a 2,600 square foot space now, pending them putting a kitchen and all the things that we need to have for our space. We'll be able to fit about 6 to 8 people comfortably in this space. That's essentially the plan. Honestly, if that was the retirement plan, there you go. You have 5, 6 people that work for you. You got 3 sales agents, 1 to 2 service, and then someone managing the whole thing. And you probably have a 6-figure plus business that operates on its own, where you have somebody that is getting paid pretty heavily for maintaining the company. You've got the sales guys that are getting paid pretty well for running the business and the new business. And then you've got a service to 2 service people who are happy because they're getting the right pay and all of the things. All right, you're going to have large expenses, but also large gains at the end of the day. It takes time to build something like that. Essentially, that's where we're at and growing and moving forward. If you know anyone that is looking for a career in the insurance industry, we're doing a couple things. We're doing 1099s where you can partner with us. We're learning some really good, interesting things about the different contracting rules and things like that. We figured out some of those pieces, which is beneficial. And we're working with people on 1099 option. I'll put a wait list because we're not necessarily pulling people on right now. If you've already filled it out, thank you. We're going to probably get to you soon. I've got a meeting on Friday to work with someone that's going to help onboard you and things like that. And then if you're looking for employment, we may offer virtual. I'm trying to stay close to Michigan, the Grand Rapids area, if there's people locally. We're looking in that specific area, and I want to have people in the office, but we're also not opposed to someone that's skilled that can work remotely. Either way, growth is there. It's exciting. There's a lot of things to be careful with. We have to just budget correctly. If we go too crazy and just hire everyone under the sun when we can't pay the bills, that's not going to work either. We've got to have enough cushion that if something does happen, if we get a really bad spot, I want to have a few months of income where we're okay, which we have now. And with doing the office space, depending how that goes, we just want to make sure that it's a good fit no matter which way we go. But the reason you clicked on this video is a little bit to follow up. Hopefully you're following our journey. If not, let's just talk about what you came here for, which is the time frame to get leads and work leads. So essentially, if you get a new lead in, it depends on the source. So that's the number one piece you have to think about. Where's the data coming from? If I'm buying a lead, I'm less likely to close that person because I don't control the marketing. Most marketing companies do the tricks you see online. If you don't have a DUI and you live in this city, then you're paying too much for car insurance. You need to call this number. There's a discount that you're missing. And that gets somebody in the door. If you're doing X, Y, or Z, it's a fear factor. You're missing out on something that was cheaper, and it's all price focused. So when you're purchasing leads, don't get me wrong, some of those work. I've got a ton of customers. I've written millions with customers like that. That was that style of lead. So they come in the door, you can sell them. The longevity isn't as long, but the length to sell a lead like that is a lot longer than the length of a referral. So the type of lead we're talking about with us for a mediocre sales level where someone's within 5 years of training and they're a year or 2 years in the business, takes about 7 days to sell that lead. For us, it was about 7 phone calls and 13 to 14 days to make a sale. That meant if we bought 10 leads now, we would sell 1 to 2 of them 2 weeks from now. And it just took time to build up that pipeline where some people bought now, some people bought a month later. It was just that salesmanship of it. And then once you get more experience, where I was at 21st Century and at Farmers and at an individual agency, and now where I'm at now when we were working leads, I was closing multiple leads on day one. So my close rate was 3 to 4 days to make a sale. It's just a matter of getting someone on the phone, getting through the conversation, convincing them that I'm even worth talking to, and then just playing that game, right? So as you get more experience, you should be closing leads in less than 5 days. Within reason, that should be your average if you're doing that. If you're doing referrals, it's a time frame thing where you're not really worried about people purchasing at any level of length, because most of the time a referral, you're 60 to 90% close rate. That means when you get one person in the door, you're probably going to sell them right away, if not within a couple days. So you're even less than the 5-day time frame if you're doing a referral. Again, if they're not buying something for 2 weeks and they don't need your services for that long, then yeah, it could extend the length of it. As long as the conversion rate based on the referral is there and you have enough referrals coming in the door, you're going to make some good money doing that route. The problem that you're going to run into is getting a referral in the door is 10 times harder than getting a lead purchased. Leads are money. You're going to pay money to do. You're going to close at a 10% rate-ish or sometimes lower. I think some of our guys were selling 3%, which you almost lose money, but if you get them cheap enough, it's worth it. Versus the referral where you're going to sell one of every other and you're getting only a couple coming in the door. Now, I prefer the referrals, to be honest with you, just because 10 times easier. I'm not making 100 phone calls a day. I'm just doing what I need to do to get the business in. And that's where it makes sense, is getting that business coming in the door. I've worked with several agencies that only do referrals, and they're happy. They write a $2 to $3 million book, maybe a $5 million book, and they don't need to write a ton more because referrals come in larger the more customers you have. If they're off one referral and you start working referrals and you get more and more and more, you're going to have as much business as you need based on the referral program. The only problem there is it takes a long time to start, to get a COI, a center of influence, to work with a mortgage broker, to work with real estate agents, to work with customers to give you referrals. You've got to, one, do really good service and really good business, which takes time. I have to quote it, sell it, purchase it, move it, walk them through the claims, walk them through the process, have them sign it. Sometimes I'm taking their payment and processing it so it's not a headache. All of those pieces that take time are really geared towards that referral, versus a lead is probably a couple hours away, so it's mostly telephone. So they're telesales where you're not really there. You're not there for them directly. You are, but you're trying to do it over the phone and virtually teach that, which leads to why you're seeing the biggest difference between the two. Now, one thing that we do is we do education through online content. So most of our leads are coming from social media, essentially YouTube. We do a lot of YouTube content. We get 300, 400, 500 plus leads a month, depending on when leads are coming in, how hot and heavy they come in. But it's mostly content that teaches you something. It's us trying to build essentially a relationship, or at least a proof of knowledge that allows you to join us. And then what we focus on is explaining more on the other end and giving you more knowledge that helps you understand, this is my agent, this is the person I need to be with. And it's not always about the price. So I will pay an extra $10 to $20 a month to have this agent than to go with somebody that just wrote me the cheapest, easiest thing possible. That's what I'm trying to teach with people, is sometimes the cheapest non-preferred clientele style, it's a whole business in its own, is a lot more work, a lot harder than just figuring out the knowledge, teaching people the route, and focusing on the value more than the speed. Now, here's the thing. As I wrap this video up, I know I'm probably bored you already out of your mind. Just stop repeating yourself. Your hands are moving all over the place. Your eyes look weird. You got whatever, right? Let me know in the comments below what annoyed you in this video, and I'll try to work on it in the future. Maybe I'm talking too fast. I know I'm getting sick, so I think I got to slam a couple videos out, get sick, and then I can start editing and posting them as I start to recover from all of those things. The piece that you need to remember is value does only go so far. So yes, you aren't incorrect that people are shopping based on price. Look at every commercial out there, State Farm, Allstate, Progressive. They're all talking, actually Progressive's doing a good job of not doing this, but most of them are talking about, let us help you save. Drive safe and save, this and save, that and save. We can cut your rate by 15% in 15 minutes. Those pieces, I've seen a lot more lean towards some of the other options of, hey, let's be quirky. Let's talk about things that you know or like or trust, and we're your insurance guy, right? So those pieces, they're catering to two different markets. One is to get volume, because if we talk about price, we're going to pull you in the door. That's like the hook. I can get a better deal with Mark's insurance company. I can do this better with this and company, because that's really what hooked me. Where the other person is looking for more of a, okay, I can relax because I have an agent that knows what the heck they're talking about. I'm good there. Those are the two different types of marketing, and you're going to get way more customers and way more volume talking about price. The neat part is you'll actually get a lot of those value-based customers in the price talk, so it's almost hard not to focus on the price in any type of marketing. The one thing you got to be very careful with is don't focus all on the time frame. If you're okay and you're paying the bills and you're comfortable and it takes you 3 weeks to sell an average lead, if it takes you 2 weeks to sell an average lead and you can only afford 2 or 3 or 5, however many you can afford and mentally stably handle them, then that's what matters the most, is being able to profitably help somebody with their insurance and help them grow and understand some value, if not just price, and just focus on the right type of business. Then you can sell a lead in 3 weeks. Most commonly, you're going to be less or around 10 to 14 days for someone that's a little bit less experienced. And for those of us that are experts, we're selling them today. You are talking today. You got a credit card today. You need new insurance today. I'll cancel your other one today. Let's hop on a 3-way call. Whatever we got to do, let's get this done. Get it out of the way. I don't have to think about it tomorrow. because tomorrow I got to remember what I told you yesterday and I have to remember the quote and all of those things. That's where the technology starts to come into play. That speeds that up. That's where we excel, where most companies don't excel. With 2 people, I can outsell a company of 5 because we've automated the process to when a lead comes in the door, we send them a text within seconds. It's a text that talks about, hey, we're here for you. We're going to quote you with multiple companies. We have some really good rates. When's a good time to talk? And then if they respond properly or positively, if they do that within 20 minutes, they're going to get a calendar invite. It's going to ask them to pick a time on our calendar. That gives us time to work on the data they filled out, to fill out the quote, to get all the numbers correct. And then in an hour to 2 hours to 5 hours or the next day, we're getting on the phone and going over it. We're finding that we're getting 30 to 40% conversion on the appointments that we're setting. Now, if they don't fill that out and the 20 minutes go by or whatever the time frame that you set goes by, let's say it's 2 hours if you really want to wait a little bit longer, and it doesn't do the follow-up. So ours will actually follow up and say, hey, did you forget to do that or whatever, right? Let's talk. And if that doesn't happen, it's going to trigger a phone call. Now, I've noticed that once it goes to that phone call, one, the benefit is if your agent's too busy, they never get to them. I'm okay with that. I don't mind if we never call a customer because we sold too many customers. That's a positive. If that's not the case, talk time is one of the most, if not the most influential piece of tracking. How much time did you spend on the phone? Either A, with customers. Are you cross-selling where you found out they had a motorcycle? Are you helping them through a claim, which means you're creating longevity and they trust you more? Or are you writing a new policy? The more talk time you have, the better. If you're dialing out, that does go towards talk time. It's usually a minute if you hang the phone right up, but it is what it is. Those are the numbers. The longer your talk time is, the better. The problem is when they get to that section, that call manually, you're probably not going to have as good or as successful as of a rate as you want. You're going to be 7 phone calls before you get them the first time. It might take 2 phone calls to 3 phone calls to purchase that policy. So now you're doing a lot more manual work. If you don't have anything hopping over here, it makes sense to go over here and dive into that dialer. You need to make those phone calls. That's the aggressive part of being an insurance agent, is almost forcing people to save money or forcing people to listen. At least that will benefit them and help them get a better policy that will also benefit everybody else. Let me know what your time frame is. How long does it take for you to call a lead? Do you focus more on the referrals, or do you find that you're actually doing good with doing dials? How often do you dial a customer? We dial them about 15 times in about a 2-week period, almost once a day, twice on the first day, twice on a few other days. And it does take time to do that. Again, we're busy enough to where we're probably not even coming close to doing that anymore, to where we have enough business coming in where we don't have to focus on that. If you are interested in learning more about the types of leads we have or the types of leads we get, we're not pitching. We don't actually sell them to you. Actually, we give them away for free, all of our excess leads. If you're part of our company, you get them first. If you're not part of our company, I'll put the link in the description below where you can request to join the free list of leads where we'll just pass them on. I'd prefer if you were an independent agent, because we do focus on doing multiple quotes when we talk about the videos and the content that we're making. So that's really what the customer's looking for. Single Allstate or a single State Farm agency is probably not a fit unless you're uber competitive. If you think you're really competitive in that area, fill out the form. I'll put you in the list to try to get you some leads as well. But if you are independent, I'll have that in the description below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If we missed anything, if there's any piece that you think that would be done differently, or if there's an improvement that you've seen, love to hear about it. Put it in the comments below. I'm Mark W. Flockhart. I'll see you soon.